Cut open a red onion right now and something happens inside your blood in the next half hour. Not next week. Not eventually. 30 minutes. Most people eat onions almost every single day. Burger, salad, stir fry, doesn't matter. Nobody stops to actually look at it. It's the thing you push to the side, the garnish, the filler, which is exactly why almost nobody knows what it's actually doing to them. Here's the part that gets people. There's a compound in onions called quercetin. And quercetin talks directly to the inner lining of your blood vessels, the endothelium, the layer of cells that decides how open or closed your arteries are at any given second. It's not just a tube your blood passes through, it's active tissue, constantly making decisions about how your blood should move. When quercetin hits those cells, they release more nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the signal that tells your blood vessels, relax, open up, let more through. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition found that dietary quercetin measurably improved vascular function by increasing nitric oxide availability in the body. That's not a guess, that's a documented mechanism, and it's been observed by more than one research group looking at the same pathway. Picture a garden hose somebody's been standing on for years. Water still comes out, but slower. Under more pressure, straining the hose the whole time. That's what tight blood vessels feel like from the inside, except you never actually feel it because there's no nerve sitting inside your artery sending you a warning. Now picture someone stepping off the hose. Water flows easier, calmer, less strain on the whole system. That's what quercetin is doing quietly every time you eat it. And here's the uncomfortable part. You won't feel this directly. Nobody wakes up and thinks, my arteries feel a little tight today. It works in the background for years, sometimes decades, before it ever becomes something you notice. It just shows up later as feeling foggy after meals. Cold hands for no reason. That afternoon crash you've blamed on sleep for years when sleep was never really the problem. Sound familiar? That might be exactly this. If that caught you off guard, that's the whole reason this channel exists, showing you what's actually happening inside your body instead of just telling you to eat healthier without ever explaining why. So if you want more of this kind of breakdown, hit subscribe right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it's the only reason I can keep making videos like this instead of the algorithm burying them. Now here's where it gets more interesting, because quercetin isn't even the main event. Cut into an onion, and the smell that makes you cry, that's sulfur compounds getting released the moment the cell walls break open. Your body treats them almost like an irritant at first contact. But once they reach your bloodstream, they do something most people never hear about. They make it harder for your blood platelets to clump together. Some research looking specifically at allium vegetables, onions, garlic, leeks, found a meaningful drop in platelet aggregation after regular intake. Now, why would that matter? Because platelets are supposed to clump. That's how a cut on your finger stops bleeding. It's a good system when you're actually injured. But when platelets clump too easily, too often, for no reason at all, that's the mechanism behind blockages. That's how people end up in an emergency room with almost no warning, because the thing that was supposed to protect them turned into the thing working against them. So think about that for a second. Something sitting in a bowl on your kitchen counter right now is quietly nudging your blood back toward flows easily instead of clumps too much. Nobody sells that in a bottle with a label and a price tag. It's just an onion. It's been sitting there the whole time, and it's not just about clots and blood flow either. Several studies have also looked at onions and inflammation markers in the blood, and a few have found modest reductions after consistent intake over a period of weeks. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is one of those things that doesn't announce itself. It's not a fever, it's not obvious pain. It's a slow background process tied to a long list of issues we usually blame on aging or stress instead of on what's been sitting on our plate for years. There's also research pointing toward onions helping regulate blood sugar response, particularly the sulfur compounds again, this time interacting with how your body processes glucose after a meal. Nothing dramatic on its own. But stack it on top of everything else, the nitric oxide, the platelets, the inflammation, and you start to see a pattern. This isn't one small benefit. It's the same ingredient working on multiple systems at once quietly for free, while we've been treating it like background noise on a plate. Quick gut check: every single cell in your body, from your brain to your fingertips, is waiting on blood to show up on time, carrying oxygen and nutrients. Slow that down even slightly and everything downstream feels it, even if you can never quite point to why. That fog by 3 p.m., that might not be lack of sleep, that might be this. So what do you actually do with all of this? First, eat it raw, not cooked. Heat breaks down both the quercetin and the sulfur compounds. If onions only ever hit your plate sautéed until soft and sweet, you're losing most of what they could have done for you before it ever reaches your blood. Add raw onion on top after cooking is already done, not into the pan. Second, choose red or yellow onions over white. The deeper the color, the higher the quercetin content. That's not a chef's preference. That's chemistry. When you're standing in the produce aisle, look at the color the same way you'd look at a nutrition label. Third, pair your onion with a small amount of healthy fat. Quercetin is fat-soluble, meaning your body absorbs significantly more of it when it's eaten alongside something like olive oil. A raw onion, tomato, and olive oil salad isn't just a recipe. It's a delivery system built to get more of that compound into your bloodstream where it can actually do its job. Fourth, and this one's smaller, but it matters. Let your chopped onion sit for about 10 minutes before you eat or cook it. That short window gives an enzyme inside the onion time to fully activate the sulfur compounds we talked about earlier. Cut it, let it rest, then eat it. 10 minutes is all the chemistry needs to finish its work. And here's a mistake almost everyone makes without realizing it. If you've ever soaked chopped onion in cold water to take the bite out before adding it to a salad, you are also rinsing away part of what made it worth eating raw in the first place. The sting is uncomfortable, sure, but it's a side effect of the exact same compounds doing the work we've been talking about this entire video. Softening the onion often means softening the benefit right along with it. You're not someone who just eats onions because they taste fine on a burger anymore. You're someone who understands what's happening at a cellular level every single time you do. That shift, small as it sounds, changes how you shop, how you cook, and how you think about the food that's already sitting in your kitchen right now, today, waiting to be used differently than you've been using it your whole life. So here's the real question. Next time you're standing over a cutting board with an onion in your hand, are you going to chop it the same way you always have, out of habit, or the way your blood actually needs? If this was useful, hit like. It tells me you want more of these breakdowns instead of the usual eat clean advice with zero explanation behind it. Subscribe if you're not already, and share this with the one person in your life who still cooks their onions until there's nothing left of them. And stick around because there's another everyday ingredient sitting in your kitchen right now doing something to your body nobody has ever told you about. That one's coming up next.